Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to MTGO Master Season 1, where we have got an absolutely amazing show for you. But first, I'm going to introduce us. My name, I'm Will Hall, better known on the internet as Will Hall EXP. That man in the virtual desk with me, that is Anurag Das, and we are so stoked to bring you this event. It is amazing. But we need to tell you, maybe this is your first time watching. What is this event? And who tell everybody about it? What is MTGO Masters?
Yeah, welcome everybody who's here for the first time. If you're new to MTGO Masters, this is basically the celebrity show of the year. As far as I'm concerned, we have 16 fantastic Magic players. Last week we had players like Aspiring Spike, Arya Karamchandani, Brian Braun-Duin as well. And this week we have an amazing pod. They're going to be playing some great games. You're going to hear them in the booth watching these games, giving their thoughts. It's a great time to hang out with your favorite personalities and players from the game. And that's what we're doing. We've got 12 weeks of amazing content lined up for you. Stay tuned.
Yeah. 12 weeks, 16 amazing players. But before we get to which 16 players are battling it out in this, we need to say what's the format? How does this all work? How do we go from 16 players to just one? Kind of like Highlander. Well, we got them into pods of 4. Each week they're going to be battling off. And the main thing you need to remember is you need to win 2 games before you lose 2 games. Every player that manages to accumulate 2 wins will advance to winners pods until we get to that top 8. Everybody that goes 0-2 or 1-2, then they'll move into our losers pods. But that's not all doom and gloom. That's not the end of the world, because the rule of 2 sticks for when it comes to pods. If you can win 2 pods before you lose 2 pods, you will find yourself in that top 8. You can see there on the screen, that's a quick breakdown of how it all works. And I don't think we'll just let it play out. All you need to know is there's 5 games of Magic every single week until we get to that top 8 and crown ourselves a champion. But there's something slightly different that we've been doing in this season. We listened to the feedback from your past events, and we are fully aware that we don't want to see evoke mirrors continuously. Well, this season we have put a stipulation on all the players. They basically have 1 shot with every deck. They need to change at least 28 cards between decks every single week. So realistically, you can't really play the same modern deck every week. I'm sure we're going to get some people are going to try and test us on that. But realistically, we are not going to run into back-to-back mirrors every single week. We will listen to the feedback. We're using it. And more importantly, it's going to be more fun for everybody to watch, right? We're really going to be using that creative juices of our players to see what they can brew and bring here to MTGO Masters. But what 16 players have we got in MTGO Masters? Let's start going through them.
Yeah,
so run me through pod 1.
For the first pod, we had Aspiring Spike, Arya Karamchandani, we had Brian Braun-Duin, and we had Eduardo Sejgali, who was our winner of last week's pod with Goryo's Vengeance Reanimator, taking down the meta of Living End. I think Spike had Timeless Amulet with the new Archdruid Charm. And then, BBD, he did deliver, right? He did bring good old Squire, the 1/2, the Stoneforge Mystic, alongside a lot of other Jeskai cards. And fortunately for Arya and Eduardo, they are moving on to the winners pods. Spike and Brian Braun-Duin will be fighting for their lives later on. That's pod 1, though. It was pretty exciting.
Yeah, and if you missed that, of course, you can go catch up for it all on the YouTube. But we're moving on to pod 2. Who are you going to be seeing this week? And when I say every single week is stacked, this week is extremely stacked. Starting off there, we have got LunaLove, which is an absolutely phenomenon when it comes to strategy card games. I was talking to her yesterday about all the different events that she's qualified for. 7 Pro Tours are new. Absolutely outstanding, as well as a bunch of other stuff away from MTG. But she's going to turn up this week, and she's ready to take it down. Then, when you think of content creators, there's only one that does everything. One of the OGs, one of the powerhouses. Well, that is SaffronOlive. We've got Seth this week, the goldfish himself, ladies and gentlemen. And then going from goldfish to just fish in general, how about the Merfolk master, Mr. Nikachu is here. Absolute phenomenal powerhouse on YouTube. Love seeing him, love seeing the enthusiasm he brings. And let's be honest, he's going to bring in Merfolk every single week he can. He's going to try and get around that 1 deck a week rule. And then finishing off with me trying not to fanboy as much as I best can, it is Brad freaking Nelson is in the stream this week, ladies and gentlemen, trying to take down this pod. And that is pod 2. Moving on to pod 3, Anu.
Yeah, we're gonna move on to pod 3 here, but I've got rumors from the Fish Discord that people are trying to just figure out what Nikachu is gonna do, how he's gonna bring 4 different builds of Merfolk. They're all 28 cards different from each other. Week 3 though has Corey Baumeister, aka the best caster that we've got right now at all stages. We've got Corbin Hostler, also from the coverage team, who has been doing amazing work, you know, for like over a decade. In fact, Carmen Klamparens, who has been, you know, just through all stages of Magic, you know, as a player, as a caster, and now, you know, on the Wizards R&D team. And then, I mean, it's Reed Duke, right? Like the King of Jund himself, Hall of Famer. His resume is basically, you know, it's insane. And he's going to be here next week. This is incredible. Another pod that I'm very, very much looking forward to. What about pod 4?
Wow. Again, just hit after hit. We have pulled the boat out this season. I'm not going to lie to you. In pod 4, we have got some absolutely phenomenal names. And one of them is Mr. Jake Beardsley, who, of course, took down Pro Tour Lord of the Rings, a very close Pro Tour to my heart. Me and him go back-to-back with that one. We're very happy with that Pro Tour, and we invited Jake. He started his streaming journey, and we've got him here because I don't know if anybody was able to listen to that Pro Tour on the mic check. He talks through the game so well. We just had to have him. It was so good. Next up, Jarvis Yu, known for, you know, Legacy Master, being an amazing coach, but more importantly, a great player. Turning up this week, there's a lot of streams. Currently got a month long of streams for charity, so make sure you can go check that out after the stream goes. So super stoked to have Jarvis here. What can I say about the next player? Like, Cedric Phillips is here, ladies and gentlemen. We get to see Cedric Phillips in the booth yet again, giving a phenomenal performance that he always does, as well as bringing... I imagine that the deck's going to involve White Weenie in some description, but who knows? You might pull the boat out, play something different. I'm super stoked to see Cedric taking part. And following up, we've got Emma Partlow, known for all her great writing that she does, known for her love of Pauper. I hate to say it, known for her love of Tron in Modern, but she's going to be turned up. She's going to be trying to take this down and try and work her way to become our queen of MTGO Masters. And that wraps up all 16 players. But we're going to try something different this week, ladies and gentlemen. Something, if you tuned in last week, obviously something went pretty horrible in the background, first of all. You know what I mean? Something happened that was out of our control, but we were able to stumble through it and still put on a great show. Well, what we had was we managed to get all 4 players for the week, plus being new, in the booth at the same time. We were able to ask them questions, have a bit of a Q&A before they played. Well, we got a lot of positive feedback about that. So we thought, well, let's just see if we can make that a feature now. So as like magic, let's move across to having everybody in the booth. And yeah, look at one, shout out to production. And secondly, welcome everybody joining us here this week at MTGO Masters. We're super stoked to have you. I'm just going to go around the room. We're going to be asking you a couple of questions like, what does it feel like being in this sort of tournament with this caliber of player? Let's start with you, Nikachu, you're above me. How happy are you to be here?
Oh, I'm really excited. It's really a funny dynamic for me because everyone knows I'm going to play Merfolk, and I know they know that I'm going to play Merfolk. So, like, do I have to prepare for, like, decks that beat Merfolk or not? And, like, Merfolk's edge is, like, you can customize it from metagame that you know, but I could not predict any of the 3 decks that are presented in front of me today.
All right, let's move across to you then, Brad. Come on, tell us. You know one person selects playing Merfolk, but what about you're playing this tournament with this 15 other amazing players. What was your thoughts coming into this event?
Well, I really had to decide whether I was going to play to win or play for fun. And I ultimately decided that I was going to be cutthroat, of course, and I knew that Merfolk was going to be in the pool. And real quick, is Eldrazi Tron good against Merfolk?
No. Eldrazi Tron's never good in any format ever because you play Tron.
Well, then I must have messed up. But I did choose to win this week, and that's why I brought the metagame staple and also one of my favorite decks, Eldrazi Tron.
Ooh, fighting talk. Okay, Seth, how are we going to apply that? How are you feeling about being part of this tournament and the decks that everybody's bought this week?
Oh, I'm super hyped for this tournament. I have some really fun memories from like Randy Bueller's old Super Leagues from forever ago. So seeing these kind of events, it like gets the community together and great players. I just love them. So I'm super excited for it. Honestly, as far as this week, I think I'm happy with how my deck landed. I feel like maybe Mono Might Martyr's kind of in a good place against what everyone brought. So I think I got a little bit lucky. My chat yesterday on Twitch talked me out of playing this horrible Leyline combo deck with Freed from the Real, and I'm glad they did, because I think my deck landed in a good spot.
And then when we were speaking yesterday, you were like, it's either this deck or this deck. And I was like, well, I can't help you. I don't even know. I'm going to play this deck. And I was like, all right, you're being the bad guy this week. I get you. I understand. You know what I mean? Every round's going to go to time. But I think the deck's really, really cool. And, you know, personally, I think you might actually line up really well in this sort of meta that we've got going on. Luna, lastly, moving with you. Obviously, you've played in huge events in multiple different, you know, companies with strategy games. Now trying to take part down here in MTGO Master Takedown. What was your strategy coming into this, going against 15 literally amazing players in MTG?
My strategy coming into it, played a lot of Vintage Cube, played a lot of Red Green.
Plug the Vintage Cube. Plug the Vintage Cube.
Yeah, I like casting the card Ragavan, Renin 6, and Urza Saga. So I built a deck with all three of those cards.
That's a vibe and a half. I love it. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna steal the mic from you, Will, and I'm gonna ask a question here to our 4 competitors. Real talk. This is what everybody wants to know, right? Who's gonna win the pod this week?
I don't know. I feel like Saffron's deck's really scary.
Yeah.
Like Infinite Life Gain, I was not prepared for that. Should have brought Infect. But I guess he also has to prevent.
Well, I have a question back for you. What's Eldrazi Tron's matchup against Mono White?
It's gonna be so funny if Brad just like casually like 2-0s. You want a fun story actually. So the first RC that I went to, right? I think Brad, you were there. You remember this, right? There was a Pioneer event the next day, and Brad was like, "All right, I'll play it." Halfway through the day, I check in, and I was like, "Hey, Brad, how'd it go?" Because he was just like walking around while everyone else was playing. I went 4-0 and I dropped. The next time I saw Brad, I went 1-0 and I dropped. And the next time I saw him was in the finals. So I feel like something's not adding up here, Brad.
Look, I have to correct you. I think I was 4-1. Maybe. I don't actually know. But it was the first, that was Atlanta, where it was kind of the homecoming of coming back to see everyone after COVID. And I was in this tournament, and then I had a group of friends going out to dinner, and you know, that's a decision to make, and I think I chose correctly.
A+.
Yeah.
Next question I actually have is for Nikachu. People are wondering what you are going to do from week to week to sort of make the Merfolk survive, swim through the stipulation that we've got here. How did that affect your deck building for this week? Anything
Big
crazy that you're
time.
playing?
Like, I can't even play with Merfolk Trickster in this deck. So I have to like play with. I decided to go a little bit heavier on Harbinger, because if anyone plays with any sort of like mid-rangey creatures, which fortunately are going to line up very well against Eldrazi Tron. But like, I did have to make some concessions from week to week so that I could have perhaps maybe my best build for the last final week. So it is pretty difficult. You know, 20 to 24 cards, that's pretty easy to change. The 20, like the last like 20, what was it, 25 to 28 cards, that just like breaks the whole deck completely. So I have to give each deck a very different personality.
You're the reason we're going to have to up it next season to 32 cards, just so people don't do. You're the reason for that. Just I want you to know that. So I want to talk about like the event, and as you spoke about there, you only get 2 decks really. You potentially, if everything goes horribly wrong for you, only get to play in 2 pods. That means you only get to play 2 weeks. So how would you like judge when to bring your good deck, when to bring your fun deck, or just be a complete tryhard like Brad and bring your best deck every single week trying to win with Eldrazi Tron? Like how do you kind of judge that? Are you starting off trying to go strong, and then if you get that kind of like that bracket, like, okay, I've got a loss to give, now I'll start bringing my fun decks, or do you go, no, I'm coming for Corey's title, I want to call myself the champion? Go with me. Ask that one for me, Saf.
So I mean, I never play good decks, so it's easy for me, really. I'm kind of known for just always playing the bad decks. And I guess Martyr is actually like kind of a good deck. It's definitely not a top tier deck, so I guess this is probably going to be my good deck. But I was like 5 minutes away from playing Leyline combo, so who knows what next episode will bring.
I kind of wish you on that. I would have loved to have seen it like popping up. I say, this being an open deck list instead of a closed deck list, that really affects your decisions when it comes to decks. Luna, you told me yesterday, I played these cards in Vintage Cube. I think they're really cool. I want to build a deck around them. How did you join? Go to Assault? What's it? Loam Assault? Is that the name of the card I'm thinking of? Anybody help me?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. Lifelong Loam's always been one of my favorite cards, and I basically add it to every Legacy deck I play, even if it makes the deck a lot worse. So I figured this is a perfect opportunity for me to actually play my favorite cards.
No, I love it. Okay, well, let's give a little bit of heads up to the to the future opponents of Brad now. So, Brad, you told me yesterday you got 2 favorite decks, and one of them you're playing today. What's your other favorite deck?
That would easily be Jund Sagavon. For a lot of the same reasons that Luna described. I like Ren and 6 and Urza Saga. But my colorless green card is Tarmogoyf forever. But I can assure you that I will most likely be memeing unless I'm in the same pod with my brother, because there's a deep-seated 25, 26 years of competing with him that I'm gonna get sweaty. There's just no way I won't.
All right, I'm crossing my fingers that happens. So my last question, and I just want a one-word answer for you all. If you can get to the finals, out of the other 15 people taking part in the MTGO Masters, who do you want to meet in the finals to be able to crown yourself champion? Starting with you, Nikachu.
Oh, maybe
On the
Brad
spot.
Nelson here.
Ooh, okay. Brad?
Yeah, a
Easy,
pro tour
Brian
player.
Braun
Because you know what? Brad, here's the deal. Brad had a huge influence on my deck. He designed Spelune of Sea and Sky. If I could beat the person who designed the card that's in my archetype, I think that would be quite beautiful. It'd be a
That's some
beautiful
lore.
way to win the entire tournament.
If you'll still be able to play it at that time.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Maybe one
Right.
copy. One copy at that moment.
My
Brad, you
answer
said BBD, right?
easily Brian Braun. I think my favorite Magic stories are when I beat him in high pressure situations, and I'm the only one that tells them, and I only tell them to Brian himself. So I
Okay.
need some more fodder.
I like that. I like that. Seth?
It's gotta be Spike, I think. Aspiring Spike just has such amazing brews. I would really love to see what he came with for the finals. So I'm rooting for that matchup.
And last up, Luna?
I think long and hard. I think I'm gonna go with Reed Duke. I've always looked up to him as a player, and because our last names are right next to each other, I always sit next to him at events. So I'll pick him.
That's a great shout. You know, I mean, he is the darling of MTG. But on that one, we need to start getting the show going. So I'm going to let everybody go off, start setting up, ready for tonight's showdown. Remember, 5 matches going. And while we do that, we're going to move back to the booth with me and Anu, and we're going to talk you through. Basically, we can't do this without some help, right? We need sponsors. We need you to support the sponsors that are supporting tonight. So our first sponsor is, go for it, Anu.
Daybreak Games. Now, you may be looking at the screen right now and asking yourself, Supreme Vintage Cube? I just finished drafting my heart out on regular Vintage Cube. What is Supreme Vintage Cube? Say it with me, Supreme. Well, this is a variation of Vintage Cube where you basically, every pack, you draft a pack, you take the 2 best cards out of it, and you literally just put the rest in the digital garbage can. And then you take another pack, and you take the 2 best cards out of it, and you repeat this process over and over and over and over. I could say it 18 times, but I won't, until you get this insanely broken deck. I think the last time, there were a couple times that I've done Supreme Draft where I had like 4 or 5 pieces of Moxin, like multiple Ancestral Recalls. It was fantastic. And at some point, I was also just like, well, I don't want to only draft Draw 3s. That's a lie I do. You got to draft like an entire cool deck, right? But these decks are like heightened power like you've never seen before. They're very, very fun, fast, exciting, blink and you'll miss it kind of games. You should definitely check it out. Thank you, Daybreak Games, for sponsoring this season of MTGO Masters.
And obviously, they're doing all the giveaways tonight are going to be the deal, courtesy of Daybreak Games. So remember, there's going to be giveaways on not only NZ MTG, but also the official MagicOnline channel. So make sure you got both of those 2 tabs up. Give yourself the best shot at winning all tonight's giveaways. Our next sponsor, though, is none other than Moxfield, the best place to upload your decks to and find recent deck results from different events. Also, exclusively, this is where you're going to find all the deck lists for MTGO Masters. So tonight's decks, last week's decks, if you want to see what the players are playing, see the full 75 that they brought, you need to go !decklist in the chat. That is going to take you straight to Moxfield so you can check out all tonight's decks. Maybe you want to start, get some of these cards, register them on MTGO Online, take them through a league, really try and take them, get that next level kind of advantage on everybody, or just play some fun decks, because let's be honest, all the decks tonight are going to be pretty awesome. So thank you very much, Moxfield, for sponsoring MTGO Masters. Our next sponsor is...
It is Heavy Play. If you're looking for card game accessories, look no further. Heavy Play they're changing the game here, right? Check these out. These are their new innovative curved sleeves. I had the luxury of talking to Randy, the CEO of the company, about these sleeves, and they've literally redesigned the process for building these sleeves from the ground up. They're messing with new technology. It's going to change the game. And also, these sleeves are sweet. I don't know if you've ever used curved sleeves before, but like the thing I hate about like corners on the bottom of my sleeves is that they always like fold over and bend, and they get messed up, right? These are curved. These are great. You can go to heavyplay.com right now to shop. You get 10% off with the code MTGO Masters.
Thank you very much, Heavy Play. And then our last sponsor for this event is, of course, the NRG series. They put on amazing events all around the Midwest. Next time you'll be able to see them and go turn up to one of their events is April 20th and 21st. Saturday, they got themselves a 10K Modern Showdown. And on Sunday, they've got themselves a 5K Legacy Trial. Remember, these events feed into their end-of-year events. They love putting these shows on. The next couple of events they got after this are in Minneapolis and St. Louis. So if you're in those areas between April, May, and June, I highly think you should go down to these events. They're awesome. Put on amazing shows, coverage, everything. Shout out to NRG. Thank you very much for sponsoring tonight's event here at the MTGO Masters. And on that one, well, back to the booth, and we're going to give you some little quick predictions and who's taking down tonight. Go.
Ooh, it's Saffron. Seth. It's easily Seth. Martyr is a deck that it's so dirtily. I've never beaten Ameria once. It's Seth, hands down. Yeah, easy.
That's because you play Control and it's got such an amazing control
don't
matchup.
out me. You asked me a question. I'm being honest.
All right, next question. Who's going to be tonight's villain?
I mean, isn't it obviously Brad? He brought Tron. Let's be real here, right? Like, we're handshaking on this one, all of us to collectively, right? So
I'll take it. I think the real answer is going to be Seth. That deck's going to go on for a long time. But I'm happy to go with Brad. I'm pretty sure Brad's happy to play the villain tonight as well. So on that one, we're going to have a very short break, get the play set ready to go, and when we come back, we're going to be able to bring you our first casting pair and our first pair playing the match. So don't go anywhere. We'll see you in a couple of minutes.